Okay, let's make a Copilot. So first we're gonna type in Copilot in the search bar. After that, we're gonna go into the Copilot chat right here. Here you'll be directed to like a sign-in page, and then you'll get to this area. After you sign in and everything, you should get this create agent area. Go ahead and click on that. It's gonna load a bit. Okay, after that, you can select a template, which is not necessary, but let's just say you want to make a study tool that's cooperative and it's also very helpful. So let's do quiz tutor. Now we'll name this new, okay. We'll name this my quiz tutor. Okay. So you can do the inbuilt description, which I'm gonna do. I think it's good. And then instructions, it's like this. It's gonna show you like how. Okay, so when you make instructions, what the Copilot does, it's gonna read the instructions, and every time you give it a prompt, it's going to like read these instructions and generate an answer based on this. So it's not necessarily more instructions you give, the better answers you'll get. It's more of like you give it the instructions and it will learn based on your instructions. And after that, you can like enable all of this. That way it can communicate with other Microsoft services. And you can also create suggested prompts, so like it doesn't have to do all the brain power. You can add some like prompts. You could say whenever you say start quiz, it'll create a fun quiz on these files. As you can see on this first one, it's basically like an if then statement. If I say this, then it will do this. And I'm going to show you how to make a custom one, not just from like the templates. And also, let's just say you want to like, you need some inspiration. There's always like some type of like, other people like to make copilots too. So what they did, they also have like a bunch of other agents that you can use and explore. So let's just say we want to see the learning coach. It can show you all the features and stuff, so you can copy this and paste it into your create agent. So let's make a custom one. So we're gonna select none. You can choose an icon, you can set an accent color. I'm just gonna set that as orange because that's my favorite color. Perfect. Now what we're gonna do, okay, it did not save, but that's, or it did. Let's name this cooking coach. Okay, so how do we describe our agent if it's a cooking coach? We're probably gonna say a copilot designed to assist people cooking and also teach people new recipes. So you can see right here, I gave it a general description of what I want in my Copilot. So after this, we're gonna give it instructions. So when you give a Copilot instructions, it's gonna follow those instructions every time you give it as a prompt. So it's like you're giving a child a book and the child will learn from that book. So when you're using a cooking coach, it's going to, whenever you give it a question, like how do you make blueberry muffins, it's gonna give you a short list of what you should put. So that's the first thing we're gonna write. We're gonna write whenever user requests to request help on how to make a recipe. So you're gonna like do like general code. You're gonna write your prompt right here. Okay. You're gonna write your prompt right here, and after that, you're gonna write what's gonna happen after that. So whenever a user requests help on how to make a recipe, you're gonna write like it's gonna ask like what are you stuck on, and then do you need the instructions after that. So let's write that. It will ask what the person is stuck on. After that, it will give advice on what to do, as well as like you should always give the Copilot something that the person can fact check. Like it's gonna give advice, but it should always also give the ingredients on how to make a blueberry muffin. Okay, I think that was our previous example. It will ask what the person is stuck on, and it will give advice on what to do, as well as show the recipe. Okay. So like after you wrote that, we're gonna give it a bit more instructions. That's why they probably gave us like 8,000. That's why they gave us like 8,000 characters, because it wants us to write as much as possible, so the Copilot is like good enough so that it can teach you and guide you. That's why it's called Copilot, because it's like it's also that's also why it's always like called Copilot, because it's like alongside with you. Okay. So now the next thing you want with the cooking coach is whenever a user wants to make something, you're gonna give it the recipe, because that's the most obvious thing you'll do, and then you're gonna give like all the measurements after that, so it will be easier for the person who's reading from the Copilot to know what to do. So whenever user asks to make ask instructions to make something, give the user detailed instructions on how to make the food, as well as the measurements. Okay, so what else would you expect from like a cooking coach? You would probably expect it to note errors when a user is telling it something. So when we word that, it should be like whenever user asks a follow-up question, it should clarify. Like sometimes when you ask AI that you need help, it will just like repeat whatever it said before. So what we're gonna put whenever a user asks like a follow-up question, is going to like look at its previous response and see where the user is stuck at. So it's kind of adding on to the first one. Whenever user asks a follow-up question, look at previous response and clarify the user on the specific Okay, so we got this piece in. So after after this, what if the user still has some questions? We should tell the Copilot to individually explain everything that the user asks, because after, if the user still asks a follow-up question, that means the Copilot is not clarifying it enough. So whenever, and this can get annoying after one point because the Copilot's giving you over excessive information, but at least it's not going to be incorrect or it's not going to be too brief. Okay, so I think for now this much is good. And then when we create our Copilot, we're gonna see if there's any bugs and we're gonna fix that. So Copilot, most AIs, what they do, when you give it a prompt, it'll search on the web of what to show. So if you want your Copilot to see like reputable cooking sites, it can it can show you, and you can also see only use specified sources. So you would like write them like right here. That one correlates to this one. And when it says search all websites, it's gonna search all the websites it can find on the web, and then after that it's going to give you a response. The only problem you would find with that is sometimes the information can be inaccurate. So for now, we'll keep that. If we find any inaccurate information, we can put it. So let's just say you need to make a diagram on how much quarts and gallons you need to put in your Copilot, and it's gonna make a spreadsheet for you. This way you can check this and check this if it's gonna allow me. I think if you don't have a Microsoft subscription, I don't think it will allow you to do this. And okay, so after that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna write a suggested prompts. But first, I want to explain to you what this is. It's kind of like it'll collaborate with these Microsoft services to create you like a visual. Let's just say you're a visual person. It can make you an infographic on how to bake like chocolate cookies or something in PowerPoint. It can give you a diagram on how much ingredients or how much quarts you need to put into baking a cake. That could be Excel. It could turn the format of whatever it's saying into a Word document, anything like that. So now when we're doing suggested prompts, it's kind of like helping you typing, because what it's doing, it's kind of like whenever you type EM in your phone, it could turn into your email. So what is the title? It's, let's just say, we can look back at our description. Okay. Bake is, so this part's not necessary, but we will add like 2 or 3 of them just to make sure the Copilot knows whenever we're using like catchphrases or something. So first thing I want to put is, okay, so let's turn this into I need help. It should say, oh, I need help with this recipe. So you may think that if I say I need help and it's generates to I need help with this recipe, It's not going to be broad because you can't ask it any other questions. Remember that we're designing this Copilot to be a cooking coach. We're not designing it to be an overall Copilot. That's what Microsoft already built, just the normal Copilot. So we can also write generate. Whenever it says generate, we could say make or find a recipe for for there. So I don't think that one will work, but we can always try new prompts after that. So let's do our agent preview. So let's ask it, do I make a, let's just say birthday cake. Okay, so it's gonna process for some time. And we can also, and it generated a response. Let's see if it matches our instructions. Here's our first criteria. So it's giving us instructions on how to do it, and it's also giving us some advice. Okay, so whenever it asks multiple follow-up questions, read it. Okay, so it followed our first criteria. Now let's test if it's gonna follow our second criteria. Oh, that was our second criteria. It followed both. So I am stuck on the frosting part. Let's see what it'll do. Okay, so it looks like it's combining our last criteria and the other one, but the good thing is it's actually following our second criteria because it's giving us a detailed thing just on this. And then let's just say we're gonna ask, how do you make the, I'm stuck on the, how do you make the cake part? So this will help us see if it's following the third criteria. Okay, so I think we found a bug. It's not really following the third criteria, although it kind of is. It's it's showing us how to do it, so I think we need to make it more specific. Okay, let's ask you a question. Why do you need to mix these two? Does salt go in a cake? So the reason why I'm asking this is because sometimes AI hallucinates and it can go wrong. Sometimes whenever you ask it, are you sure about that? Even though it's correct, it's still gonna make a correction itself. So let's see if that's the case with this. In this case, we give it instructions enough so it will understand what we're saying, and it's also going to give us an explanation why. Unlike sometimes when AI is going to say, oh, I'm sorry, it was not supposed to be in there. So let's see. Now we also put a collaboration with documents, charts, and code. So what we're going to say, make this recipe into a spreadsheet. Okay, so it wasn't able to generate it, so I think we found a bug there, but I think that's a problem on a different end. We can't really fix that. Oh, there we go. So we were able to open it, and look, it made a whole spreadsheet. Okay, so that's pretty amazing. So I think once you're at a good stopping point for your uh, Copilot, you can click create. It's gonna take some time. Creating your agent. Okay. So there's your Copilot, and you can always access it in the sidebar. And I think you can make this public if you want other people to see it. So that's how you make a Copilot. Hope you enjoyed.